And Jules here, JoolsEDesigns. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to all the newbies if you've not been on my channel before. Kind of junk journaler. At the moment I'm doing a kind of a series working with book pages, and today we're making tags and we're using some Tim Holtz stamps, some little photographs that are free on my Facebook group, and other little bits and pieces. And it doesn't have to be vintage book page, it can be quite modern book page. You just use inks or whatever you've got, just to darken them down and make them look as though they're old and patinaed and marked. So it is book page. So what I've got is, it's one book page. Now it's a Victor Hugo book. This one is kind of an old one. So this is 8 1/4. So it's what we would say an A4 size by 5 1/2, and that just folds into 3 and it makes a decent size tag. So all I do is I don't measure it, I just kind of guess, which is roughly about that, and then over again. And you can see it doesn't come right over, so what I do is I put that one underneath like that. So again, we'll do it again. That one. So you kind of have to make these look about the same. If you want to measure, go ahead, it's fine. I just don't. Also when you use it, see that one's quite a lot bigger. So, you know, make sure that your book page is kind of substantial. Make sure that it's not fragile, you know, that breaks easy. I've got some here. This is you can see it just pulls away. It doesn't matter how many layers. What you would need to do is you would need to put that on another substrate before you can use it as a book page. I just use that type of book page either for gluing on or collage. So then what I do is I open this up. I'm using glue stick because it's easy. And then I'm just putting the two sides together. We are memory keeper's angle, and then what I do is I just put that down that way, because obviously I've not done any measuring, so these are kind of different. I think that's the widest one, there you can see, which is fine. To do is we need to make it look old and patinaed and stuff like that. So what I usually use is you can use oxide. So I've got Vintage Photo, I've got frayed burlap, I've got the Distress Ground Espresso, and what I'll do is we'll go around with the dark first, and I'm just rubbing it around the edges, just bringing it on. That's that one. And then what we'll do is when you're putting the oxides on, be careful because it can go a bit cloggy and thick looking. And I'm just roughly going over that, yeah. I can see some circly bits, but I'm not that bothered. And then we've got a vintage photo. So this is a different colour still. That's isn't it? Down there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Scotch Timber and I'm just going round the edges just to darken it off. You can, sometimes I use the black soot or one of the Harmony, the Noir Black, or I think I've got another one here yet, is Jet Black. I sometimes use them. Just depends how dark I want these. And I might still go over it, you know, a little bit darker when I'm putting everything else on. And just putting the darker colour around just enhances the edges. So we'll put that up there. So there we are. So we've got 3 So I'm just going to wipe these up and lift them up, sorry, and wipe the underneath. I'm just going to put, I'm just trying to get all these centered. That one's wider than that. And what I'm doing is I'm just putting a little hole in. There we are. And what I am going to do is I'm just going to go away and I'm going to stitch these up on the sewing machine and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I'll just zoom in a bit. So I did straight stitch around that one, did straight stitch and zigzag, and then we did a zigzag with straight stitch. And you know, I mean, I quite like it. While it was on, I should have done round these, but I'd already put the labels on, so that's fine. So I'm just going to zoom it out a bit. Okay, I'm just checking that right, I know not to go past that. I need to stay on here. Right, so I made some of these, they're just out of, it's a grey brown card, and I just cut a circle, was that one, and then I went over it with the crocodile, the one that I cut the holes in the tag. So if you use something else, you know, if you don't have a crocodile and you use a hole punch, use your hole punch so it's the same size. I don't put them on both, I just put them on the one that I'm going to put the, and I'm just going round these. There we are, and I'll stick these on. And I quite like this card, it's coordinations, so if I wanted I'm not going to use I'm going to use these ones. Which ones have I got on that one? Right, I'm going to use them. And what I did was I just printed these off 2 to a page, so that made them a little bit smaller. And I'm just cutting them out. And there we are. And just bend that one over. And all I'm doing is I'm just inking around the edges, you know, where I've missed, you know, there's a bit of white. And I'm just bending it so that it looks like an old photograph. And we'll do one on the bottom there. There we are. And what I am going to do is, I got this from the works, and it was with all the washi tape. So I want that one, that one, so I want that. Or you can make your own if you've got, you know, little hole punches and black. Oh, right, okay. I'm putting that back on because it just unravels and it. Okay, so I think And there it is, a wee pokey tool. So what I usually do is turn that round, and not the easiest to get off, but I just kind of that's it, I think. Yes. So we're going to put that there. So we'll kind of put that there. Put that down there. Doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be a perfect fit. Put that in there. And I'm not sticking the middle of the photograph down just yet, because I might put some labels and things behind that. We'll see. And I'm going to do some, I should have done some stamping first, but never mind. So I'm just and this is just something I got from Tiger, so it's nothing major, it's just some stamps, some stars. Yeah. And that's one thing about the stamping, you can stamp, you know, ink whatever you want. You don't have to ink the whole lot. So we've got it's a bus ticket. I think we might have a little bit more. Give me the Scotch timber. I think I'll actually do it that way. And these, I think, these come in a sheet like that. I think I got them from, oh, what do they call that? Paper. You get them online, you get them in a box. Oh, I can't think. You get lots of papers and stuff like that, so I quite liked. And I've not used a lot of them. I tend to hoard things like that. I'm terrible. And then I get to the point where I think I need to use them. Get these little labels. And these are all the little Tim Holtz, is it the curio labels? and I just usually take the whole thing and stamp the whole sort of like stamp of them all, and then cut them out. I think we'll there. And I think that this did say destination, but I cut it off, so that'll just be kind of that way, which is fine, because I never ever waste anything. Deco. No. Now these are washi tapes. I think I'm going to use some of this one. So it's kind of, they look like all bits of film, HD filming or whatever. And these again, they're just, you peel the back off. No, don't think my little doggy wants to go out this morning. Well, it was a bit frosty. It's first kind of, I've seen the frost. It's still on the roofs a little bit, but we'll see. And I'll put that one. Yes, I think we'll leave that there. We'll just leave that to dry. So then I think we'll put just put that on the end. Wrong way. So it's going on this way. And which, that one, I think we'll have that one, and just double that over. That's it. Got it. Got it. Again, I'm not doing the edges of the photograph in case we want to put something else. I think we'll have that one there. Do we want some of this? Of course I need to use this. So this is kind of, well, it's bandage actually. It's just from old bandages that we take, you know, when we've renewed first aid kits. Because obviously you're not going to use all the bandages, but yet they do have a life. So, and I get to use them, which is quite cool. So I just kind of rub ink on my mat and then just dip the bits of bandage in, and that's how it works for me. And I don't want that one. We'll have this one. Oops. Right, I'm just going to put that over the top. I've got some little tiny ones somewhere, that's it. And we'll do that one. So I've not inked on that one, but I'm going to ink on this one. So I'm just going to get some and it's just a script stamp. And I'm going to use black. This is a kind of a crosshatch. I think what I might do is do the crosshatch on this, because it goes with the stitching. Okay, so we'll put that back. And right, we've got the two, I don't know whether they're mates or brothers, or we're just trying to be cool there. Right, so I'm going to cut that one off there. That's it. Just put that there. And we'll put that on there, and I think we might put kind of have to poke your pokey tool right into it to separate them. Then we'll put that way so it looks as though it's coming off there. I think we'll put that one up there, so we'll just so we've got a identification check. No, we don't need the identification check. I have a couple of just put that one there. And now we're going to put that one out a bit. And I think we'll that one over the top. I think we'll put this one on. I wasn't going to, but There's just something about it that I quite like. And we'll put that one underneath, and then it kind of just joins it all up. Right, we'll just move these out the way, and just make sure that they're all, so they are a little bit different from this one. We've got a red one. Oops. That one we're kind of going a bit blue. I'm just wondering if we should put a different coloured, I've got some red ones here. We'll not put anything on that one, but this one we will put, I'm going to put this. We'll put that on there. Then what we need is we need some string. I'm going to use this. This is more like than the smooth one that I had. This was the one that's straight in front of me, but it's the one I like using. And this one ties easier, though that smooth one doesn't. And this one also frays a lot easier. So we've got that. And that way you don't waste any if you tie it while it's on. And we'll just clear it away, and we'll have a look out, see what it looks like. Journal, if I can find one. So So you can see they're nothing to do with hydrangeas, but they look quite cool on these pages. They go no matter what. There we are. So they go with everything. So they, and I mean, if you do them, you know, do a load and you just put them in a box waiting, and then you could always put like a digital on them. There's a book page one, so that would go nice with that. There's a book page pocket. Because I like these book page pockets. And we've got this one's kind of like the perfumey, the plaid and dusty pinks, and again it looks okay with the dusty pinks. Again, there's another book page. Book page always makes something look nice and old looking, and it always, you know, dresses it up, I think anyway, and that's my opinion. But I think that's, so there we are. So I hope you get something out of that. I hope you'll have a try. As I say, you don't have to, you can go to the local thrift shop and get a new book. It doesn't have to be a vintage book, and just some ink or whatever, just to grunge it down a bit, and that's how you get the kind of the patinaed look. If you wanted, you could use acrylic paint, you know, or watercolour paint, just sort of like with your finger, rub it in, crayons, anything like that. So, enough waffle, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.